Maha City, a salute to y'all, man. What is poppin'? It's your boy Mark here with Marcky Sports. It is Game 7 Saturday, man. I'm pumped. I got my Avs shirt. I got the Nuggets hat. So go Avs, go Nuggets. We'll make a immediate breakdown after the games are both over. But it's gonna be a fun night for Denver sports, man. But you already know what it is on this channel. We talk about the Avs and we talk about the Nuggets, but the Broncos are always going to be the bread and butter. So today we're going to go over the draft class in its entirety and discuss what are the realistic expectations that we need to have for these 7 players that we drafted, right? And discuss what the outlook looks like for 2025 and beyond. So if y'all love Denver sports, man, make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already, and interact with me in the comments. Let's have a good time together. So let's get right into it. So starting, guys, with my expectations for the one and the only Jahdae Barron, right? I think, again, this was a home run pick at selection number 20. I think it was obvious. You got to take the most talented player on the board. You didn't expect for somebody like him to drop to you. You took him. I expect for him to be a day one starter, no doubt about it, whether that's at cornerback or whether that's at nickel or whether that means he technically gets the start, right? He's going to be somebody that I would expect to receive at least 80% of the snaps, or the snaps in, like I had written down there. So sorry for the typo. But I do expect for him to be a day one starter, man. I think in camp, they're going to have him competing at multiple roles to really see what he can do. But ultimately, what makes the most sense for him is to replace Jaquan McMillan, who I love, one of my favorite players, at nickel. And I think he's going to do that. He's phenomenal in the run game for somebody that's his size. You can send him on blitzes and get really creative, like you've seen Vance Joseph do quite a bit with his nickelbacks. I think that he's just going to be an unbelievably productive overall player in this defense. I think he fits the defense like a glove. He can play in the box as kind of like a box linebacker. And what's really cool about him, being the chess piece that he is for this defense, he can play in multiple spots, right? Let's say Talanoa Hufanga ends up getting injured, right? And maybe you don't have PJ Locke on the team because maybe you moved on from him for salary cap reasons. I wouldn't think that we should, but he could step in and fill in for Talanoa Hufanga, or for Brandon Jones at any one of those safety positions if needed as well. So his versatility, man, and what he can do is going to be really fun to watch. The only thing that I'm really wanting to know about Jahdae Barron right now is what number is he going to look fire in making plays on the defense. I expect a lot of turnovers. I expect a lot of big plays. I think he's ready for the moment, man. He just seems like a surefire prospect. Can't wait to see what he does for this offense as a whole. Moving on to pick number 2 in the second round, the 60th overall pick was RJ Harvey. I think with RJ this year, man, I think RB1 is his ceiling, and I think RB2 is his floor. No doubt about it. He is going to be a part of a running back by committee. I think minimum 40% of the snaps for the running back positions. I would say if I was going to make a prediction, he would receive more than half of the total allotted carries that we ultimately give running backs in this offense. And, mainly it's because, he's handpicked by Sean Payton and by George Payton. They really zoned in on him in the draft after they realized they weren't going to be able to get Ashton Genty. And he's just the most talented runner that we have right now. He's fast. He's explosive. His contact balance is great. His vision is great. I think Sean Payton's going to be very, very happy to utilize him in a lot of different roles. And I think he's excited to see, as am I, the kind of pass game weapon that he can be. Now, what's crazy, and I mean, there's no other back on this team that provides the kind of explosive home run abilities that RJ Harvey does. And what's crazy is last year, the Broncos had 20 runs total. The entire team had 20 runs of 20-plus yards. And 16 of those were from our quarterback, Bo Nix. That is actually crazy. That's how bad our running back room was. RJ Harvey is exactly that. He is an explosive runner. He led the entire NCAA more than any back in 10-plus yard runs. Second, in terms of 15-plus yard runs, it's what he does. He gets chunk plays, and he brings much-needed juice to this offense. I think he's probably going to be the first and second down back, to be honest with you. They'll probably use him in certain third down packages, depending on, the down and distance, the game, all that kind of stuff. But pass protection is the only thing that is the big unknown. are things that, from what I've seen, he's not very polished at. He's going to need a lot of refining and a lot of development there. So don't expect for him to be the third down back this year, but I expect for him to be a very key member to this desperate running back backfield. And man, my guy Kodiak, he just dropped a really good video a little bit ago outlining the entire running back room. I think he did a great job. And go check that out. And this, I think you'll be able to formulate your own opinion on just how important and just how big of a role I think RJ Harvey is going to be in 2025. Number 3 is my personal favorite guy, man. He was my guy way before the draft. I just really like Pat Bryant. And he's the most controversial pick of anybody in the draft class. I don't understand why, but I kind of also do, because people think we overdrafted him. It is what it is. Let me tell you guys, Pat Bryant's going to come in. He's probably going to play the second most snaps of all of the wide receivers, similar to what little Jordan Humphrey did. I expect for him to be a Z receiver that has the ability to also play X, right? If you're curious what that means, X receiver obviously playing outside. That's what Courtland Sutton plays. Not in the slot. You're mainly going to be lined up outside. The Z receiver is a very big role in the Sean Payton offense. You're typically, lined up close to the line of scrimmage, just on the outside of the tight end. And, you'll be responsible for obviously doing a lot of blocking, which is the main reason why I think that they like Pat Bryant so much. I want to say the main reason, but it was a big bonus. And it's probably what is the reason that, he was higher on their boards than with some other players, because he has that ability. And they also run a lot of short to intermediate routes from that Z position. So you're not as wide as the slot. You're a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. That's where Pat Bryant wins, man. Pat Bryant is the kind of guy that wins in the intermediate game. He's very good against press coverage. He's very good at, creating separation early, and he makes the tough catches across the middle. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if he ends up, being, it's hard to say wide receiver 2, right, in this offense, because it's like, do you dictate that by statistics, right? Like the second leading receiver, the second leading yards, or do you determine it by like who's the starter every week, opposite of Courtland Sutton? So that's going to be something that, I'm always a little bit hesitant to be like, I think he's going to be wide receiver 2, but I think he's going to play the second most snaps, a very, very big majority of the snaps this year, obviously barring any kind of health concerns for this team. I also find him to be one of the main weapons that we look at on third downs and in the red zone. Really excited, man. I think between Courtland Sutton's ability to be a beast in the red zone, and then obviously what Evan Ingram can bring, and now what Pat Bryant has, we're going to be a very much improved team and a very tough team to stop in the red zone. And RJ Harvey is a really good short down and goal line back. So I have a lot of expectations for Pat Bryant this year. I do think he'll contribute on special teams as well, especially early. Do I know for a fact he has the ability to do it? No, but I would project that he does. And yeah, I'm expecting for him to play a really prominent role, and not necessarily take more time to develop like someone like Troy Franklin did, for example, last year. But I'm really excited to see how this wide receiver class as a whole rounds to form. All right, let's get over to Seavon Jones, the first pick on day 3, our 4th round pick. My expectations for him this year is that he's going to be, at best, a rotational defensive lineman, rotational depth there at DL. And the fact that he did play a lot of edge in college will be able to give him some versatility and some ability to be a depth piece in the edge room as well. But I expect for the vision that, Sean Payton and Vance Joseph ultimately have for him is that he's going to play D-line. He's going to play the 3 tech, and, he'll add to that room. He'll play on, he'll be a part of the rotation. I think maybe 20 to 30% of the snaps at best in total, but he'll be there to spell some guys and fill in case of injuries. I expect for this year to be, like I said, a year where he's going to play, but it's mainly going to be focused on his development, on them, getting an idea of where they want for him to be, get stronger. He's going to get more technically sound. And I expect for Seavon Jones to be the starter, or at least very much competing for the starting role on the defensive line, opposite of Zach Allen in 2026, because I do think Zach Allen's definitely going to get a contract extension. And I don't know why you wouldn't give an extension to Malcolm Roach, but you don't have to now, right? You can kind of play that out and wait for it. But and then John Franklin Myers, obviously with the expiring contract, but that is my expectations. I think he's going to be a really good rotational depth piece, and he's going to be groomed to be the starter in 2026. Moving on to Q Robinson. Oh, sorry. Seavon Jones was the last pick of day 2. He was our final 3rd round pick. Q Robinson was the first pick on day 3. My bad. And so he was a 4th round pick, and he was a little bit of a controversial pick as well because he's a very raw player, but extremely talented when it comes to what he can do on defense. But I don't think he's going to be much of a contributor this upcoming season on defense. I think he is absolutely going to make this roster, and he's going to be active every single week because he is a 4-phase special teams player. I think that's the big benefit that you got from getting Q Robinson, is that you're getting someone that you know can contribute to your football team right away on special teams, but has crazy high upside as a pass rusher down the road in the future. So I do expect for him to be a little bit of a developmental project when it comes to him on defense, but going to come in, be a special teams guy. And in the next 2 to 3 years, so really starting in 2026, I guess, in the next 2 to 3 years. So in year 2, in 2026 and on, I can see him not necessarily being a starter because we are really deep there, but depending on how he looks and what he shows, he's going to be playing a pretty significant amount of snaps on this defense. But this defense likes to rotate a lot. So that's what I expect from Q Robinson. I think he's going to be a really fun player to watch, and he's going to be making some plays down there on special teams. Speaking of special teams, this is the easiest expectations. Jeremy Crossaw, 6th round pick. We drafted a punter, y'all, and my expectations is no doubt about it, he's going to be the starting punter. And I think Darren Rizzi's going to have a lot of fun with him, man. I think you're going to see some, fake punts, whether it's him throwing or him running. He's a really good athlete, but I think he has a high ceiling to eventually be an all-pro punter, or as David Talks Broncos likes to say, our franchise punter, right? That's about it, man. I expect for him to be a starter right off the bat, Jeremy Crossaw. Excited to see him play. Ain't no doubt about it. Oh, and what kind of a holder is he going to be? Hopefully he's going to be a really solid holder. But yeah, who really gives a shit, right? So let's move on to the biggest project and the biggest unknown of this draft class. In the 7th round, we took Utah tight end Caleb Lohner, former basketball player at Utah and at Baylor. He's played, again, 57 snaps in college. 57. Like Bo Nix almost played as many games as he had snaps in college. So he's a big-time project. And it's interesting. A lot more people are optimistic about him. Like, they think he's definitely going to make this team, and that, there's going to be certain packages that Sean Payton has for Caleb Lohner. Listen, man, we're a much deeper team this year than we have been in years past, which is obviously a good thing. So, but it's going to make guys like Caleb Lohner, it's going to make it very difficult for them to make this team, right? You look at our tight end room last year, right? We had Troutman. We had Dulcich to start the year, and then Dulcich ends up getting cut. But we didn't replace Dulcich with another tight end. Then you had Lucas Kroll, and you had Nate Root Beer Atkins, right? As that made up your tight end room. So by adding Evan Ingram, you've already made a roster bubble for the rest of those guys. It's going to be tough. I think the guy the odd man out after the Evan Ingram signing is going to be Lucas Kroll, unfortunately, because he hasn't really shown much development when it comes to him as a pass catcher like I thought he could be, and he's a pretty bad blocker. He never really got that much better at blocking, which hurts my heart because I was really on the Lucas Kroll train. And so by adding Caleb Lohner, I don't think he's going to replace Troutman or Nate Atkins, to be honest with you, because those two guys, even though they're not going to give you the most in the pass game, they're very good blockers. They're very versatile. Especially, I feel like especially Nate Atkins, to his credit, I think his, H-back ability, the fact that you can put him back at fullback and do a lot of things is helpful. Caleb Lohner projects to be very much the only thing he's going to do is go out and run routes in the NFL. So I think it's going to be really tough for him to make this unless he really pops and shines and just surprises me a lot in camp. I don't see a situation where he makes the active 53. Personally, I think he's going to be a practice squad guy who's going to take a redshirt year. And they're really going to focus in that year on him, getting stronger, getting bigger, getting more technically sound, and being able to start to, seriously compete for a roster spot in 2026. But we'll see, man. I mean, Sean Payton did draft him for a reason. There was obviously something that he had seen that reminded him maybe a little bit of Jimmy Graham to be able to have certain packages. So it's going to be fascinating to see with Caleb Lohner. But for me, I just have a hard time seeing him make this 53-man roster. I want to know what you guys think, man. Let me know in the comments below if you agree, disagree, or if you have your own opinions on what, the expectations are going to be for the 7 draft picks. I think 6 of them are a lock to make the football team, with Caleb Lohner being the guy that's going to be questionable. And I'm excited to see how they develop. Guys, get your popcorn ready. Get your tequila or your whiskey or your beer or your pizza, whatever your drink and your food of choices, and sit back tonight, man, with your family and enjoy Game 7s, 2 of them. The Denver Nuggets playing at Game 7. Also, the Colorado Avalanche. Hate the fact that they're only 30 minutes apart, right? Why can't we just have, like, the Avs start at, 5, the Nuggets start at like 7:30 or 8? So there's minimal overlap. Get your double screens out or your split screen if you got YouTube TV, whatever, but go enjoy it, man. I hope it ends in a very positive manner, at least for one of the teams. It would be devastating if both teams lost in Game 2, but made a prediction video yesterday. I think the Avs are going to stop the Pete DeBoer 8-0, whatever it is, in Game 7s. Stupid stat, doesn't mean nothing. And I like the fact that the Nuggets are at home, man. I got both teams winning tonight, and I think both games are going to be legitimately awesome. So hope you guys enjoy that, man. And until the next video, go Broncos, go Avs, go Nuggets.